What's up, guys? Wanted to make this video here real quick, just to kind of go over a certain trading strategy that you guys have been asking me about, and that's scalping. Okay, a lot of traders get kind of mixed up on this terminology, on what it is and what it isn't. So I wanted to just kind of break it down for you guys and be able to show you the ins and outs of it for those of you who use this strategy, and of course for those of you who don't but need to know about it anyways. Okay, so this video is going to be kind of detailed. Those of you that are watching it, obviously on YouTube, free information for you, and those of you that wanted to do a little bit more research, get different strategies and things like that. Obviously, the extended version and the advanced course is going to be more than useful for you, where I kind of break every single thing down, and provide you with some insight and strategies set up to be able to utilize scalping to your best ability. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. Hope you guys enjoy.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it here. We're going to talk about scalp trading. Scalp trading 101, basically. Well, this video, actually, the full video is going to be pretty much everything about scalp trading. Obviously, if you're watching this on like YouTube or something like that, we're just going to talk about, what it is and all that other good stuff. And then for those of you that are sticking around and watching this in the advanced course, we're going to be talking about trading strategies. We're going to break down the nitty-gritty and all that good stuff for you, a little bit more about it, and, kind of go from there. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this thing real quick. All right, so today's objective, what I want for you guys, is to be able to know what scalp trading is, know how it works, know when it works and when it doesn't, what is needed for you to be able to do this successfully for it to work. I want you to know what to avoid when you're scalp trading, and I want you to understand and know what to expect when it comes to scalp trading, because there's a lot of things that are missed or just plainly not taken into account when it comes to scalp trading, which is very important. And then I'm going to go over, some strategies on scalping and stuff like that. All right. And again, like I said, for those of you who are watching this in the advanced course, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about this on a more extensive level. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. First and foremost, what is scalping? Scalping, in kind of in the arbitrage senses of trading, is basically a type of trading in which traders try to open and close positions in a very, very short period of time, with the aim of making small profits from the trades. As you can kind of see in this example here, you're buying and selling, waiting again, buying and selling, all within like a little hour period. That's like 3 trades within an hour, which is pretty frequent for scalpers. Sometimes even a lot more frequent than that. I've seen people do it by the seconds, but that's essentially what scalp trading is. You're doing a lot of little profit taking here and there, within a short period of time. Okay. And obviously there's a lot of different ways you can look up, the definition of scalping and what it is. And in fact, we're going to take a quick look here at this video by Investopedia about it. And then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of it here for you guys. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Oops, sorry. Let me redo that.
Scalping entails taking profits on small price changes shortly after the trade is entered. It's based on the assumption that most stocks will initially move in the desired direction. Scalpers take as many small profits as possible, and they succeed by making more winning trades than losers. A pure scalper that adopts the craft as her primary style will make hundreds of trades in a day, using mostly 1-minute charts and quote systems. When the market is choppy or locked in a narrow range, a shorter time frame may reveal visible trends and the opportunity to scalp. Any trade that takes profits near the 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio is a scalp. If a trader enters her position for a scalp trade at $20 with a stop at $19.90, the risk is 10 cents. A 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio is reached at $20.10. The first type of scalping is market making. A scalper tries to capitalize on a specific stock's spread by simultaneously posting a bid and an offer. This works only on immobile stocks, and it's difficult to use successfully because of competition from market makers. The second type of scalping is buying a large lot of shares and selling for a gain on a very small price movement. The third type sees a trader close a position as soon as the first exit signal nears the 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Scalpers must have a strict exit strategy because one large loss can erase many small gains. They need the right tools, such as a live feed. They also need direct access to a broker and the stamina to place many trades.
All right, so I hope that video broke it down for you a little bit, but I'm pretty much going to reiterate everything that was kind of mentioned in that video, and a little bit more. Some of the things I might repeat a couple of times, but that's because it's very important for you to know as a scalper, and just kind of know from there. All right. So another thing they didn't really kind of cover is the difference of scalp trading versus day trading, because a lot of people get this confused. Essentially, here's what scalp trading is and what day trading is. A scalp trade is always a day trade because you're in and out of the position the same day. However, a day trade isn't always a scalp. All right. But you can use scalping tactics, and I kind of do. And again, as we go over this in the advanced course, I'm gonna, kind of break down how my entries and exits are when it comes to my, my trading and how I utilize those tendencies in my trades. Okay. But that's just kind of the difference between the two. A scalp is always a day trade, but a day trade may not always be a scalp. Positions are often held for just a few seconds rather than hours. Positions here can be held, as long as the markets are open on any given day. Oftentimes, scalping is automated and sometimes uses systemic trading systems. But with day trading, you can use either or. It's really up to you as a trader. So there's just kind of a few differences between the two. Now, how and when can scalping be used? So, scalping can be done in any financial market. You don't have to just trade, scalp stocks. You can scalp forex. You can scalp commodities, options, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many different, you can use it in every single market, honestly. Um, and it can be done in almost any size as long as there's volume happening within the stock. Okay, there needs to be volume there, like you've seen in that video. If volume isn't there, it's not going to be very beneficial for you to do it because you're going to have to go against like market makers and all that other stuff. It's going to be much more difficult to do anything. So you always want to make sure, first and foremost, in order to scalp and use your scalping strategy, there needs to be volume, preferably more volume than usual. Okay. Now, when can it be used? It's really good to use scalping when it's, not only a lot of volume, but also a lot of momentum, in either direction, whichever one you want to do it, bullishly or bearishly, doesn't matter. But as long as what you're scalping has high momentum in the market, it's going to be very beneficial, and it really is the best time to use it because you're almost, certain that your gains can be there if you master the scalping strategy. Okay. So now, what do you need in order to be able to scalp? Well, first and foremost, honestly, you got to have a scalping personality. Not everyone can do this. It's very, very difficult. Despite what some people may think, people that do scalp like, oh, it's easy, it's easy. It's easy because it fits their personality. Not every trader can do this. And as you practice it or even try it, you'll understand why. Okay, but there's a certain type of personality that it takes to be in order to scalp, or even a mindset. Okay, some people just naturally come to it, but you definitely need to have that persona. Okay, and you'll understand it as you get into trading a little bit more. For those of you that are advanced traders, and you know what I'm talking about. Another thing you need to have, of course, is a watch list and a scanner. Now, you obviously would want to have a real-time scanner, something that is alerting you of movement within the market. Whether you use an hour alerts or your own scanner, whatever, you need to have that for sure. Now, a watch list you definitely want to have because even if you can't afford a scanner, you should know what stocks you want to watch throughout the day, or at least just keep on your radar so you can know when the time is for you to be able to scalp. So you got to have a watch list and you got to have a scanner. Not every day trader needs a watch list, and not every day trader needs a scanner. But as a scalper, you essentially need one or the other, preferably both. All right. So make sure you get in the habit of having that. Like the video said, you also want to have a direct access broker. I can't stress how important this is, because, as scalping, you need to get your trades executed flawlessly, quickly, and you don't need nothing else, lagging your execution. That can destroy you quickly. I've seen traders try to scalp on third-party platforms, such as like Robinhood and stuff like that. Yeah, it may work for a while, but overall, it never really does. Um, so ideally, make sure you have a direct access broker. Okay. Um, Low to no commission or discount on volume brokers is definitely one thing that you need, because if you're getting charged for every trade that you execute, your profits are going to, need to be a lot higher, and it's going to be harder to scalp, or you're going to have to go in with a lot more volume, and you're at that point doing a lot more risk. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second, okay? But definitely make sure your broker has low commission or no commission and or a discount on volume, okay? You don't want their commissions eating into your profits, all right? You definitely got to have a detailed chart. Um, Now, obviously, the ones that I probably would recommend in this instance would be Thinkorswim and TradingView, honestly. Um, I don't recommend Webull. Their platform isn't, up to date with, the things you might need for scalping. It lags a little bit. Same thing with Moomoo. Lightspeed's okay. Centerpoints is okay. But ideally, the top two is going to be honestly Thinkorswim or, TradingView. And these are just charts. These are not. I'm not telling you to execute your trades with them. Just, you need the chart set up, because you're going to have to get very, very detailed with your scalping in order for it to be successful. All right. Hotkey setup. You definitely want to make sure your broker or whatever platform you're using, whether you're using DAS or anything like that, has hotkeys. There is no way you're going to be able to be a scalper without having hotkey setups. I mean, there is, but you won't last long. Okay. And the reason why is because you got to have that ability to have good reaction time and good decision time and make that order placed quickly. And your hotkey setup is going to be the quickest and best way for you to do that. All right. And obviously for those of you that are in the course, stuff like that, you'll have my hotkey set up for you. You can go, check that out, set your hotkeys up. You can use something similar to what I'm doing, or have your own however you want. But definitely have some type of hotkey setup that fits, your trading style for scalping. And you definitely would want to have an account that's not subject to the PDT rule. Obviously, scalpers again are executing trades, you know, simultaneously and quickly throughout the day, and 3 trades can be done in less than what? Less than 10 minutes. You could do 3 trades, okay? But you would rather have an account that doesn't have the PDT rule, so that you can do more and obviously gain more, without having to wear yourself out or worry about revenge trading and all that other psychological stuff affecting you when you're subjected to the PDT rule as a day trader. All right. So make sure you have one of those, and it could either be a cash account, or it can be one that's over the PDT rule, or it could be an offshore broker. Okay. Those are pretty much your only options. All right. And again, as I go over this stuff here, I'm expecting, you to kind of know a little bit of stuff already. And obviously this is part of the advanced course, so I won't go into too much detail. But for the first little bit here, I'll break down a lot of stuff, just because some of you guys are watching may not be advanced yet. But if you are, you can go ahead and know what I'm talking about and move on. All right. Now let's talk about what to expect. And obviously you can see here I got a picture of a commercial cheeseburger and a real cheeseburger, because a lot of traders will hear about scalping, they'll think about scalping, they'll look at scalping and think, oh my gosh, I can do this. This is so easy, and if I just do this and do this, they'll get this little mindset that they have the system beat all of a sudden, and no one else is thinking this, and this is their edge, when it's not really. Okay. Um, Not only that, but it's also a lot of other things that you got to consider. For example, the taxes you're going to pay, and looking out for wash sales. This is the advanced course. I'm not going to go over what a wash sale is, but you need to understand that, and you need to understand how the taxes are going to affect you when it comes to your realistic expectation of your profitability after that. Okay, I've seen traders scalp successfully, and then come tax time, all that was a waste of time. So keep that in mind. All right, and again, like I said, we'll discuss some more of that a little bit as we go over this in the advanced course. You should expect too that you need to be very versatile. Um, Listen, guys, scalping is not something that I recommend for beginners, um, especially the way that market conditions change. Now, when I say not for beginners, I'm not saying that don't start and try to scalp. You can definitely do that, because it might be something you might like, and it might fit your trading personality. What I'm saying is, a lot of traders, especially ones who are new, try to scalp when in reality they're not scalping, they're revenge trading because they think they've lost so much, they think this is going to be the way for them to get that money back. And reality, it's not going to last because all it takes is one move, like I said in the video, to wipe out 6, 7 days worth of gains when you're scalping. All right. But you do need to be very versatile when it comes to scalping. You need to be able to do it on the way up and the way down. So obviously you have an extensive knowledge of, trading strategies and things like that. So you can recognize when you can scalp and when you can't throughout the day, in the market. Okay. So again, it's not recommended for beginners, but again, you can try it and see how it works out for you. So another thing you need to worry about too is transaction costs, because there are transaction costs that are associated with, depending on the broker that you have. You need to have that measured in your risk to reward ratio. You can you can scalp it, a stock or whatever security you're going to scalp, and the scalp can go your way and be perfect. But if your transaction cost is $2.50, $5, $10, scalping is going to be a lot more harder because you didn't take into account the transaction costs when it comes to you placing your entries and exits on your trade and making those split decisions. And you can actually be right, but end up losing money because of commission. All right. So keep the transaction costs in mind if you do have them. Now you also want to consider your spread to play factor. Okay. Your spread needs to be considered when you're thinking about the stock you want to scalp. All right. Why? Because the spreads can also eat into your profitability. All right. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But for those of you who are just, kind of dipping your toes into this, spread plays a factor. And the spread, of course, is between, the difference in the sense between the bids and the ask. All right. You want to be aware of press releases and offerings for the stocks that you're trading or the securities you are watching or even the currencies you're trading, whatever market you are in. You need to be aware of press release and offerings and also watch out for news, breaking news that could affect your market. Because of the fact that when news and offerings and stuff like that hit, usually the securities that's associated with it or maybe even a sympathy play to it could take an effect and have an effect on your trade that when you're in it. All right. So understand that. Okay. Also, what you need to do is expect losses because there will be losses. All right. Now, if you're one of those people who can't take a loss, mentally you can't handle it, do not do scalping. Okay. Be a trend trader. This is something that does not fit your personality. If you can't stand your stock, going down, you need to see a trend of it going up and you're impatient and stuff like that, and you just probably should sit scalping out and be a different type of trader. All right, because the losses will come. I i guarantee it pretty much. I mean, there's no guarantees in life, but that's one thing I'm willing to bet on. You will have losses as a scalper, and by losses I mean losses in the trade, not an overall loss. I mean, you can have 2 out of the 5 trades you take be losses and the other 3 be wins. All right. So keep that in mind. That's what you need to expect. Now, what are some things you should avoid? Now, of course, you need to avoid a few things. You want to make sure you are not using a lot of indicators when it comes to scalping. I've seen this plenty of times, especially traders who are new and trying to figure out their way. You don't have time to be trying to figure out 6 or 7 different indicators and what they're telling you. 1 or 2 indicators are fine. All right. As far as which ones to use, that's going to be up to you. Those of you that are watching this in an advanced course, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of those indicators that you should, consider using that I've known to work well for scalpers. And we'll cover how to utilize those. But again, 1 or 2 is fine. You don't need any and every trading indicators that's out there. Even the ones that you might see me using on a daily basis would be too much for a scalp trader. Okay. Again, this is not for beginners, okay? Another reason why is because not only do you need to master, you know, other different trading setups that are out there, you also need to be able to master your emotions and your psychological mindset in trading and also have the personality to trade, all right? Like I said, I'm gonna get into more detail on this, but if you don't know patterns like, if you don't know like an asymmetrical pattern, if you don't know an ascending triangle, if you don't know flags, stuff like that, you probably shouldn't be trading because knowing that information just gives you more confirmation of where a trend is going to be and it'll help you be able to scalp, okay? You don't know certain types of indicators, then you wouldn't know where to enter and exit a trade or where you can measure your risk to reward. Okay, that's all that stuff is needed to be known to be able to be a good scalper. Even then, you don't want to be a good scalper. You want to be a great scalper. Okay, this is the big leagues. All right. So if you're trying to make that money scalping, you need to have all this stuff mastered to the best of your ability. All right. You need to be able to quickly, um, react to movement within the market. All right. Also, you got to be able to, stare at the screen for hours and hours and hours and be able to quickly react. So this takes a lot of concentration. And if you don't have the time frame to do so, it could be detrimental to you. Now, this is it's kind of a double-edged sword because there are some people who can just enter the market and trade for 30 minutes or 40 minutes before they maybe, go to work and stuff like that. However, you would want to at least be able to assess the situation. By then, in order to do that, you've already got a good fundamental knowledge of markets and you know what to expect during, the time that you're trading, whether it be pre-market, midday, which I don't recommend, or power hour, after hours, et cetera, et cetera. Again, that's not something that novice traders have. Experienced traders know this stuff and they're able to execute, which is why, again, this is not a good beginner strategy. But you need to be able to do this. And it's very high stress, to be able to be a scalper. You got to be able to, again, look out for announcements and, news and stuff like that. You do not want to be a bag holder. If you have a record of bag holding, this isn't for you. Okay. The reason why I say that is because you can quickly become a bag holder when it comes to scalping because of the fact that your security is going to be taking, you know, losses. You can quickly become a bag holder and not be able to recognize when to get out. All right. Um, Scalpers don't bag hold. They get in, they get out. If you don't have that mentality, it's not going to work. You don't want to overtrade. Yes, it can be very easy to overtrade when it comes to scalping. You can easily fall into revenge trading. Um, you can, overtrade by getting greedy a lot when it comes to scalping. I know because I've done it. And suffer big hits and things like that when it comes to this. So keep in mind, you don't want to overtrade the scalp. When you scalp, have a good set time frame of how many trades and how long you're going to do it, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Already established for yourself. So keep that in mind. This is the highest form of stressed trading and the highest risk trading. Okay. I can say this a million times just because of the way that, scalping is. You won't understand it until you actually try it. But the reason why it's so high stress is because the markets react a lot quicker on the 1 minute, 30-second, 60-second time frame, 15-second time frame. I mean, it is moving. And if you're not fast enough to react or you don't understand things, I mean, you'll get stressed out very, very easily. That's why when it comes to trading, people do better as long-term investors because it's easier. And then as you're getting, as you're coming down to swing trading, then you're coming down to day trading, then you're coming down to scalping, it gets harder and harder and harder the shorter the time frame that you're trading on. And since scalping is the shortest time frame to trade on, it is the highest stress form of trading, which is why I'm not a scalper. I like to take things easy, but like I said, I have scalping tendencies, but we'll again talk about that later. But that's something to try to avoid. Try to avoid as much high stress as you can. Try to eliminate the as much risk as you can as well too. And there's tricks and tips behind this that we'll talk about as we go through this course as well too. Okay, guys. Scalping tips for those of you that want to be a scalper. Um, Pretty much what you're ideally looking at on a daily basis is high relative volume stocks, the hot stocks of the day, the ones that everyone is looking at and going to be looking at. We already do that already in the chat room and the alerts group, but not all of us have scalping strategies or scalp trading tendencies, which is fine. But for you guys who are scalpers, you definitely got to have a stock that has high relative volume, okay? Because if it ain't moving, you ain't gonna be able to do it. Smaller moves with larger size are more risk, and you need to have strong emotional control and psychological control. Again, this is not for beginners. I probably reiterated that like 4 times. But imagine going into a stock, and you need it to move just 10 cents to the dollar, like in that video. Obviously, you going in, like a $50 stock or something like that, and it just moves 10 cents isn't going to do you much good, and you're not going to have much gains. So the ones that are making money with that are, putting up thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars just to have it move a little bit to make a lot of gain. Okay. Um, so obviously, the more you're putting into your scalp, the more riskier it becomes. Smaller moves will make bigger movement in your account size, but it's also more risk. All right. Scalpers themselves will like to look to buy after the breakout or at the breakout, not in consolidation points. So for those of you that are trading like some of the trading strategies that I talked about that you can trade in consolidation, scalpers wouldn't utilize this because it wouldn't make sense. Okay. And also you need to watch for false breakouts as a scalper. You need to wait for confirmation. If you're, doing it that way, you can usually wait for the confirmation or try to play before the confirmation. But either way, you need to have it so you can know that, your scalp is going to go the way you want it to go. So watch out for that stuff. That's a little tip that most scalpers in the beginning end up losing on because they either are trying to trade in a consolidation period or they get hit with false breakouts. Now you need to focus on accuracy, okay? And by accuracy percentage, I mean you want to make sure that your scalps that you're doing are, right more often than they are wrong. Okay, so you need to make sure that your accuracy is on point when it comes to scalping in order to be successful. You want to have, high, ability to scale in and scale out. So you can typically, sell half of your position, especially when it's going your way, and then adjust your entry point to the remaining position, just to make sure you have a high percentage of accuracy. That's another thing to keep in mind as well too. That a lot of traders don't utilize like they should when it comes to beginning to learn how to scalp. You want to have a tight stop loss. All right. Because you can't have much room for error when it comes to scalping. So remember that tight stops, which obviously means you want to be playing with good risk to reward. You want to watch out for news and announcements again. Like I said, can't stress that enough because oftentimes that is overlooked in a lot of trader strategies who scalps, and they spend 3 weeks to a month or so having all these gains, and then all of a sudden one announcement comes out or earning report gets hit, and now they scalp the wrong way, and the stock just tanks. It happens quite often, more than you would think. And then also too, you don't want to do many simultaneous trades. I know it might seem like, oh, because you're scalping, you just want to get in and get out, and you can do like that several different times all at once. You don't want to do that because at any point, one of those trades can go south, and then that can erase every other gain you get, with the other trades. All right. So don't simultaneously scalp. Focus on 1 to 2 trades at a time. I don't recommend 3 or more, but you can if you want. But honestly, I say stick to 1 or 2. All right. So those are my tips. And lastly, here we're going to talk about the strategies. So what you want to do is find high percentage gainers with high volume in the pre-market, and you can scalp those throughout the day. Works like a charm. All right. And like I said, we'll go into more detail with that here in the advanced course. But you also want to look out for half and whole dollar marks because these are possible areas of entries and exits for you as a trader, depending on how you're scalping, whether you want to scalp long or short. Those are good entry points for scalpers, which is why psychologically traders are always looking at those levels. Combining them with different indicators will also help you be able to execute your scalping strategy. Now, there are indicators that are out there that will work greatly when it comes to scalping. If you have a scalping personality, but you're having trouble with things like entries and exits and all that good stuff, it's a good thing you're watching this course because we're going to go over that. All right. But yeah, there are a lot of indicators out there that can help you with that. All right, so let's go ahead and recap what we talked about here so far. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information. So let's take a quick, second here. We talked about what scalping is. We watched a video on it. We understand what it is, getting multiple trades in and out quickly. We talked about how it works. We talked about, when it works, when it doesn't work. We talked about what you need in order to, be successful with scalp trading. We talk about things to avoid when it comes to scalp trading. We talk about what you actually should expect when it comes to scalp trading. And then we just briefly just covered here some strategies. So yeah, so hopefully, this was a good little introduction into scalping. And like I said, guys that are watching this video in the advanced course, we're going to go into a little bit more detail here. Um, when it comes to scalping, we're going to discuss some strategies and we'll look at a lot more. So let's take a quick break here. We'll recap this, and then we'll jump right back into it. So, all right. And then for those of you that are watching this on the course of YouTube, of course, hope you enjoyed this video. Let's get in it.
All right, guys, that about wraps it up there. Hope that was some good, useful information for you. Again, it was just, little tidbits here and there for you to be able to kind of pick up on and be able to deep dive into scalping, on your own. For those of you who like the video, definitely please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts if you use the scalping strategies or if you do something completely different. Definitely like to hear what other traders are doing out there, what kind of helps them out. And for those of you who are new, again, hope you enjoyed this information. If you're trying to learn more and get like a to Z point on how to be able to day trade, for a living and be able to develop your own trading style, definitely check out the How to Day Trade for Beginners course. I'll put the link in the description. And for those of you who are trading and you're doing okay but not doing okay, kind of sort of in the balance, and you need to find that little edge, or just even sharpen the tools in your toolbox and get a little bit better, check out the advanced trading course as well too. Put the link in there for you guys as well. But until then,